Hi there, it's Bonnie with So Inspired by Bonnie with another Tuesday's tip on a Wednesday. As many of you know, our oldest daughter had a baby yesterday at 8:51. Blake came in with a lot of dark hair and every mommy and baby are fine and we are tickled to death. So I just wanted to let you know I appreciate you hanging in there with me and doing our Tuesday's tip a day late on Wednesday so that we could be there with her when she had her baby. Um, I just wanted to let you know, please give me a shout out if you're there so I know that you're there. That's the only way that I can tell that you are there. I'm seeing several of you show up. That's awesome, especially since we're a day late and not doing it at our normal time. Also, I wanted to let you know, please like our page, follow our page. That way you'll get some notices when we're going live. And please share with your friends if you think they might benefit from some of these tips. I feel the more the merrier. So go ahead and do that. Also, as a reminder, we do post the Tuesday's tips on our Pinterest page as well as our YouTube page. And again, it'll be on our Facebook page later after the broadcast. So if you're not able to come when we're live, or if your friend isn't able to come while we're live, it'll still be here later on. So no worries there. Today's discussion is the Humble All-Purpose Pressure Foot. That's a mouthful. So today I titled this one the All-Purpose Pressure Foot Know-How because many of you have this pressure foot where it has the little black button on the side. I know this comes on the Brother machines, the Baby Lock machines, the Janome machines, and it's possible that it's on a few other models out there, but it is on the later machines. I had a lady that mentioned that she had a 30-year-old brother and hers did not have it. No fear, we can show you, or I can show you what that little black button does and how to adapt it for the machines that don't have this little magic black button. So if you're like me, I sewed with that presser foot probably for a year or two before actually knowing what the little black button was. It's not just a decoration, it does have an actual purpose. Have you ever been sewing along and your presser foot kind of goes like this? Excuse me, got a frog in my throat. Anyway, you're going along and then you're trying to go up and over a seam. It's a big hump. I always ran into it the worst with hemming jeans. That everybody has trouble with those seams sometimes going up and over, and your presser foot actually gets at an angle and it starts pushing against the hump and it just doesn't, it can't ride over it. So it's pushing against the fabric and nothing's moving. It's just standing and still. And it's a pain in the fanny. So anyway, that's what the little black button is for. It's to help you get over those uneven surfaces when you're sewing along. Another place that I thought of that you might be sewing along, I made this Halloween bag last year for Colton, and this is using our Spooky Buddies little octopus from our Spooky Buddies set. Because I know some of you are going to ask, where did the design come from? But anyway, over here on the side, there's binding. This outer portion has batting and fabric. There's 2 layers of fabric, batting in there. Then you've got your binding, and then there's also the pet screen. That's a lot of layers to have a seam. And when you're sewing along and going up and over, if you didn't know what the little black button was for, you might be having trouble navigating those. So let's go ahead and see exactly how that little black button works. Generally speaking, when you're, as a side note, if you're working with heavier weight fabrics or really thick seams, please up your needle to a jeans needle. You want to go to about a 14 or 16, probably jeans needle, so that it can go through all those fabric thicknesses without breaking. I didn't happen to change mine because I'm not going through jeans. I will be going over a thick surface. But if you are going over, I do recommend bumping up that needle so that you don't break it. It needs to be a little bit stronger to go through all those weights and thicknesses of fabric. So what you're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate in a minute, but I'm going to explain it a little before we actually demonstrate. What it's going to do is you're going to sew along, and then when you get to the area where you see the presser foot start to turn up, where it's starting to turn up, but it hasn't had trouble sewing over it yet. It's just you see that presser foot start to gear up. Go ahead and stop. Raise up the presser foot, push in the button, and you're going to jiggle that foot, and you'll feel it lock in place, and it's going to lock where it's parallel, so it's nice and flat and even. It's no longer at an angle. It'll lock in place with it pushed in. You push and hold that button, and then you lower the presser foot, still holding the button, and then you can continue your seam. So let's see how that looks. I'm going to move the camera so that you can see this better. You won't see my face, but that is totally fine. I want you to see the machine. I'll go ahead and bring this machine in a little bit closer, and we're going to get nice and cozy because we're in tight quarters here. And I'm going to take just a piece of denim fabric. I'm going to snap this presser foot on into place and see what stitch I have set up here. It looks like I'm okay. And I'm going to pretend I'm going to fold this fabric, and I'm going to fold it, well, I've folded it in half, I've folded it in half again, and I'm going to fold it in half again. So I've got about 8 layers of fabric. I've definitely got an uneven area here. This is very thick, and this is just 2 layers of fabric. So I just want to show you how this works. We're going to be sewing along, and I'm coming up to this where I'm right, excuse me, I'm right before the thickness really goes up. My needle is right before that thickness is about to give me a hassle. So I'm going to raise my presser foot. I'm going to try to keep my hands out of the way. And then I'm going to, well, I have to put my hand in the way. Well, maybe I can push it back here. Push my button in, and I'm going to jiggle this around. Ordinarily you would do it with the other hand, but that would be in the way and you wouldn't be able to see it. So I'm still holding in that button. Then I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to lower my presser foot. My presser foot is now even. It's actually off of the back. It's got a little space there, but it's nice and even, and it's flat. It's no longer at an angle where it's pushing against that hump. It's flat so it can go over the hump. So I'm going to go ahead and continue, and the button is staying in, and the button will automatically pop out once it knows it's made it past the hump, and the button is now out. So that little spring is what's holding it in there, and you push against it, and then you're able to go over that hump without any hassle, without a big old skip stitch, and it's nice and smooth. So you can see that the stitching there is nice and even. I don't have a huge change in my stitching. Now I'll go ahead and demonstrate that just one more time with a different fabric here. I have a piece of batting with a little bit heavier upholstery fabric, and you want to do this, I'm going to add that, you want to do this where you're coming up to the seam. This is the instance where you're coming up to the seam. Generally when you're sewing over a heavy area and come down, there's not an issue. This happens when you're on a thinner weight area and you're having to go up and over a ridge. So now you see I've rolled this up where I've got a big old hump that I'm going to try to climb over. Again, I'm going to sew up, and I might have to lift it a little bit until I can get up to that little problem area, and I want the needle to be just before I'm hitting that ridge. Then I'm going to raise my presser foot, hold on to my fabric so it doesn't unfold, push in that little button and jiggle it. My needle is too far down, it's in the way there. I'm going to push it in and jiggle it. It's nice and flat. Lower it, and then let it continue on up and over. So that is what the little black button is for on your humble all-presser foot, all-purpose presser foot. Now let's say you don't have the little black button. What on earth are you going to do then, because you don't have a way to level out the presser foot so it can go over that hump? Well, what I recommend is I'm going to put my denim fabric here again, and I'm going to sew along. Make sure my presser foot is down. There we go. It's kind of at a funny angle. I'm going to sew along, and I'm going to get up to the little problem area, and then I'm going to stop, raise the presser foot, and I'm going to just find myself another piece of fabric. Doesn't matter what it is, just another piece of fabric that will give me a similar hump, if you will, and I'm going to put it back behind. Can you see that? I'm putting it back behind the presser foot so that I've leveled out my presser foot, so it's not at an angle in the front. I've leveled out my presser foot by making a bump in the back as well. Now my needle's not going to sew on the back one. It's just scooched up right behind the needle, and I'm going to continue sewing on, and it goes right off. So I didn't use the button on that one. That one is just a demonstration of how to do it if your particular presser foot does not have the little black button. Wad up a little piece of fabric, put it behind your needle, and then continue sewing on. It's really easy. So that hopefully will help you whenever you run into those issues where you have a hump that you're trying to sew over. I know those can be a hassle if you don't know how to handle them. So it's really pretty simple. It's not a hard thing, but it comes in handy when you need it. And again, if you are sewing over multiple layers of fabric and it's getting pretty thick, go ahead and bump up that needle size to a 100 14 or 120 16 so that you can go up and over those humps. So I hope that was pretty easy and it didn't make it too difficult, and you will try it next time you run into that situation. It's not something we run into all the time, but when we do run into it, it's nice to know that we can handle it without any hassle, and our stitches are still going to be nice and even and straight and not have skip stitches and broken needles because we used a needle that was too small. So I'm going to go over to my computer and refresh it here a little bit. I'm going to have to move this machine out of the way a little bit so I can get in here. A little tight quarters today. And I'm going to refresh the page and see if we have any questions. Brenda said that this is awesome. Never knew about the little black button. I had it on there for a long time and I just ignored it. I didn't even ask, what the heck is that little black button there for? And then one day I guess I got the nerve, or somebody mentioned it. I don't know how I found out about it, but I know it was through my dealer finally told me what the little black button was for, and I went, oh, that's a lifesaver. And it's been here all the time, so it's kind of funny. Anna said, oh wow, I needed to know this the other day. Great, thank you. And then she has the Destiny 2. I think that's the Destiny 2. She put D2, so I'm assuming it's the Destiny 2. It's awesome. It's back to the basics, but you'll use it a lot. We all hem jeans sometimes or come across binding like I showed you on the little tote bag. It just happens. You never know when it's going to happen exactly, but you'll need it at some point. So I think Anna says that she will use that tip. Awesome. I'm glad that you're going to put that to use. Teresa says that she cannot hear anything and her volume is way up. Other folks are being able to hear, so I have to assume that there's something going on with the volume either on the up here at the top, make sure on the video itself where there's a little X in the right corner, make sure that the volume is up over there as well as on your computer itself. There's two places to check to make sure that your volume is up. Let's see, Pamela says, what little black button? Just tuned in. Well, we will have the repost and the replay of the video. It's on your all-purpose foot, and if your machine does not have the little black button on the all-purpose foot, then I showed you a way to do it if you don't have that particular little black button. And again, we'll have the replay over on our YouTube channel as well as Pinterest, so be sure to rewatch it if you happen to show up a little late and miss some things. B said, thanks, Bonnie. As always, enjoyed your tip. You're welcome, B. I'm glad you were able to make it since we're a day late. Let's see. Anna said, no issues here, but sometimes she has to restart. Yeah, I don't know if that's a computer thing where the memory is having a little trouble. I'm not sure what that might be. Although sometimes it could be just an internet connection. I've been live and everybody, well, not everybody knows, but I've had it actually stop in the middle of a video on me. So you just never know what's going to happen live. But anything can happen. We just muddle through. We just continue on. Let's see. I think we've answered all our questions. If I missed your question, don't worry. I will check. Please ask your question because I do check throughout the day and I do follow up to make sure that I didn't miss any questions because I do like to make sure that everybody's been taken care of. The other thing I wanted to mention, if you have a favorite tip, please email me at bonnie@soinspiredbybonnie.com. Let me know what your tip is, and if I use your tip on one of our live segments, I will send you 5 half sheets of our glitter flecks that we sell on the So Inspired by Bonnie website. And be sure again to send me your favorite tips at bonnie@soinspiredbybonnie.com, and if I use your tip, I will send you some glitter flecks for free. So I hope you'll take advantage of that. One of them is a pumpkin, which is going to come in handy for Thanksgiving. We also let you know about when our Tuesdays tips will be and what the subject will be, what our specials are, and if we have any new releases or new colors of glitter flecks or sales. It's all in the newsletter, so please be sure to sign up for that. We'd love to have you join us. And again, I want to thank you guys for showing up on a Wednesday for our Tuesday's tip. I really appreciate you showing up and spending some time with me. I know everybody's busy and has loads of things to do, so I really feel humbled and appreciate that you spend a little bit of your day with me here in my sewing room. So until next time, bye-bye for now.